Awesome. Thank you for joining us today. This is the first Coffee with Crainer show. Thank you all for joining. I have to say special thank you to Jennifer Cote and Lori Tapperlouis for the awesome mug for the first show. It is really incredible, and I have coffee in it today. So I created this show because I think it's important that youth in our community are able to get that advice from successful leaders from the community and really have that advice as they grow, whether it's going through high school, college, university, they're able to refer to this show and have quality advice from today's leaders. So I'm very thankful to have Dr. Vincent Georgie here today from the University of Windsor. His role at the University of Windsor, he's a marketing professor. He's also a professor and was the leader of the MBA program. And then he's also a director at the University of Windsor School of Creative Arts. And also he is the executive director and chief programmer for the Windsor International Film Festival. So it's an absolute pleasure to have someone of that expertise, of that marketing and leadership expertise as well, joining us today to give us some advice for the people watching. So thank you for joining us, and take it away, Dr. Vincent Georgie.
Lyndon, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And congrats on the show. This is great. Good for you.
Awesome. I appreciate it. And before we get started, I do have to ask a question about coffee. So I think you're drinking a coffee today with your...
Yes, I am. Yes.
Awesome. Me too. What do you take in your coffee?
I don't drink a lot of black coffee. So when I do have it, it's just a little bit of sweetener. That's it. But normally I'm a latte guy.
Okay.
And I'm recently, the past a month or so, I'm on the almond milk. Apparently it's really healthy for you and really good for you. I've adjusted to it. It's not bad. I tried it actually with oat milk at Happy Camper. And that was actually really quite tasty. But I'm working the almond milk right now. But I love, anyone that's ever met me or knows I drink a lot of coffee. I really like it very, very much. I find it very comforting.
Awesome. That's great. For me, I just put a little bit of cream and I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
I do the lattes as well. London Fogs are great. I know it's a tea drink, but those are very, very tasty as well.
Yeah.
So we'll get started. I think before we talk about the pros and cons of taking your master's right after your undergrad, I think it's important that we understand, should a student being in university, after they finish their undergrad, should they even complete a master's degree? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly something I believe in fully. I mean, I did a master's degree and a PhD, and I ran master's programs at Odette for 4 years. I think there's a huge amount of value to it for a couple of reasons. One is, I mean, the degree of difficulty that you're getting into with a master's program is far, far deeper than undergrad. And I found, for myself at least, I grew, I did my MBA at Odette in 2003, which is an age ago. But in that 1 year, I felt like I had quadrupled my skill set coming out of my undergrad. And having run master's programs for 4 years, I found the students said the same thing too. By the end of the MBA, they had grown really just exponentially. So I think there's a major growth piece that comes with that in terms of the value of doing one. I think it's great. In terms of competitive advantage, you're looking at about 13% of Canadians have a master's degree. So the whole idea, sometimes people get talking about, well, everyone has a master's degree, everyone has this, everyone has that. Yes and no. Some people run in certain circles. Well, maybe everyone in your family and all your friends and neighbors all have master's degree. Maybe they all have 5 master's degrees. That's possible. But don't assume that's the overall look of the population. It really is still a rarefied thing. But the one thing that's great with education, one, it's a belief in yourself and an investment in yourself. And you'll never know everything. So there's always value to taking that next step. But the thing I like about doing a master's degree, I always recommend it to students, is it is an accomplishment and a license, if you will, that can never be taken away from you. You will always have it. It's always to your credit. I do strongly recommend it. I think it can definitely offer you some additional professional opportunities and also personal fulfillment. Just to say, hey, I did that, and I was able to achieve this. I think that should never be taken for granted. I think it's an important step. I do encourage people to do one, for absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's a great approach. And for people that are watching, let us know in the comments if you are thinking about taking your master's degree. And if you do have questions being a student about your master's, feel free to put it in the comments, and Dr. Vincent Georgie would be glad to answer those questions. So I think we can move on to the next question that talks about the pros and cons of taking your master's degree right after your undergrad. And I think that's a very important topic for people that are in, especially in the business program. They're considering, should I take a master's degree right after, or should I go and have that 1 year work experience? So what is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to both, and this is a classic question. Certainly, if we look at MBA programs that I receive, for years. One is, if you're able to, I went right from my undergrad to my MBA, so that's what I did. Just to be clear on that. And it worked for me for a couple of reasons. One of the key reasons was I was at my undergrad at the University of Toronto. I'd never been to Windsor before. And doing my MBA right away, what it allowed me to do, I was still in school rhythm. I still had, I was still studying, still doing that type of stuff. So transitioning into more school was actually kind of easy. I still had a backpack and still had a student car. All that type of stuff was already there. That was one thing. But the second thing was, I was 22 at the time, which is, very young to do a master's degree. But when I founded Windsor's program, I loved it. I thought it was great. I wanted to go there. It was my number one choice. Once I got in, it's like, cool, I'm going, done. I actually didn't really have to have much of a conversation with my family or really anybody else around, can I go? Can I afford to go? What are my other plans? It was more, no, I'm a full-time student. That's the program, I'm going. And I had some really good colleagues in the MBA at that time who were older than me, who had different family realities. One of my dear friend, she was engaged at the time. And the challenges of having a husband back in Toronto, and now she's doing her degree and this and that. I didn't have to worry about any of that. It was more, so what I'm saying, when you're younger, I would say life is the most about you that it's ever going to be. It can really be you just deciding that's the school I want, or I want to go here, or that's really the program I want, I got to move or whatever. So that's the advantage. I think the other advantage too is just in terms of energy and focus, and you're still in school mode. Once you get your master's done, again, it's something that can never be taken away. The key disadvantage to it is at some point, no matter how smart you are and how many part-time jobs you've had or whatever, there is only so much you can absorb from your master's when you are 21 or 22 or 23 years old. There's a maximum that you can, especially a professional program, which MBA programs really are professional programs. They're governed by universities, but they're not truly academic. They're really a professional designation. So because of that, yeah, there's only a maximum you can really appreciate from the content. But years later in my career, I'm like, oh, now I get that. Yeah, I can really appreciate some of that. So that's one piece that you can't fake your way through when you just don't have enough to compare it to. That there's a certain naivete to what you're talking about because you don't know, or you know somewhat, but not exactly. On the flip side, the advantage of waiting, and I wouldn't even just say 1 year. Some MBA programs are looking for 2 years, 3 years. Some MBA programs you can go back and do 10, 15 years into your career. There's all advantages there. The biggest disadvantage of doing it young is the biggest advantage of doing it later. You've got so much more experience. You can relate to it like, yes, this is how that works. This is how that goes. Or you can bring class examples back to real scenarios you've actually experienced in the workplace. That's it's very rich. You cannot replace that. Nothing is going to replace that. The challenges with doing it later, start to come up with lacks of flexibility. So maybe your personal life starts to change. Maybe you have a partner. Maybe there's some family planning. Maybe you've already made some financial commitments to a mortgage or a dog or a car or whatever that you can't stop working. Or maybe work is going quite well and there's a promotion on the horizon in the next year. So this is not the time to leave. All those factors start to play in, or yes, you can go, but you can't go out of province because it's not going to work for your family. So you can't really go the program you wanted to go to. All those factors do start to play in. And I think the challenge with doing one later, even though the rewards are very rich around just being wiser, is I'll promise you that your partner, maybe some kids, maybe a dog, your mortgage broker for sure, your bank, and your employer, all of them combined will probably be making the decision for you. And that can be tricky for some people. So it's something to think about. Value in both directions for sure, but you just got to know what the realities are on either side of it.
Mm-hmm. I think that you made a really clear point. I hope this is helping people that are watching. We did have a quick question that came in from a good friend, Paul Lucha, good family friend. He says, how does the master's program at Windsor compare to other programs offered at different locations? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the way it distinguishes itself right now, and again, I have to be clear, I stopped running those programs in 2017, and they're in very good shape now with a very good new MBA director, Kent Walker's running. He's doing a very good job with it. What I would say, what is different about it, it is more it's accelerated, it's faster, which is good. It keeps you focused. Okay, you're really in it for 14 months, really quite intensively. I think that's really quite advantageous. I think that's a piece there. Certainly a focus on experiential learning and client-based projects and things working in the community. I think that's a key piece that's very good as well. The other piece I would say too is the price point of it, in that it's not cheap, don't get me wrong, but on the same token, you're not going to remortgage your house to do it. And when you're going to take on, a program that's going to cost you $20,000 or $30,000 or what have you, you've got to run the numbers on what can I afford and what level of debt am I willing to take on. So I think that you've got to be conscious of. There's some MBA programs that can cost you six figures. You've really got to run the numbers on if that makes sense for you. So I think those are all factors that really do matter. There is a very good sense of community to it, Odette. I think it's always been its strength, is it feels close. I know when I made my choice as a student coming from Rotman as an undergrad student, when I came to Windsor and got a campus tour, met with people, I just had this feeling. I'm like, I liked that sense of closeness and sense of community. And I said, if I get into this school, I definitely want to go there. But for any students, for Paul or for any other candidates thinking of master's programs, a really important thing is do not pick based on a website or based on what your friend told you. You need to visit these programs. You need to interact with some faculty or some current students to figure out the vibe, because the number one thing in any program you're going to go into, the only thing that matters is fit. It does not matter that your neighbor liked it. It does not matter that your sister thought it was good. You're the one that has to do it. You need to interact with people and get a vibe for the place and be like, I could see myself here. This feels good. Current students that are similar to me are liking it too. Those are things that are really important. Don't undersell the research part of it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And hope that answers your question, Paul. Thanks for asking. And one of our last questions on the live stream today, this was written in by somebody anonymous, and it says, how did you turn the Windsor International Film Festival into a powerhouse? Being with your leadership, how did you take it to the next level?
Sure. And it's something, myself and our team are very, very proud of. I think the way we did it is with relentless energy. There's no question in terms of work. So one thing people are always surprised at, they're like, well, WIF happens in November, so you start planning in August. That is not the case. It really is actually a 12-month a year planning process and work. So one thing is the amount of work we put in is absolutely astonishing, and that's for our whole team. So that's a really big piece. But a core piece was sizing up what the market opportunity is. So when I moved here from Montreal, so I used to live in downtown Montreal, and I moved here to join the University of Windsor. I was very proud to do that. But I was used to having all these movie theaters that played a lot of great international films and Canadian films and really high quality stuff at my doorstep. And I came to Windsor, I'm like, oh, where is that? And I realized Windsor didn't have that. And I'm like, well, where do all those movies play? And I was told they don't play anywhere here. And I thought, so if you've got our three cinemas, you got Devonshire and Silver City and Lakeshore, and they're all playing the same 10 or 12 films. It's not a judgment on that at all. But like, well, where does everything else play? And I realized it plays nowhere. And then I was also at that point invited onto the board of the Windsor Film Festival. I just moved here. My background's marketing a film. We want a marketer on this. So I looked at that and I said, we should really drive home bringing all these really high quality, entertaining, fun films that are not going to play here. So when I think of the past years, we showed The Russian Five, that amazing doc about the Red Wings. And we sold, 1,400 tickets for it. And so many people who actually never go to the movie saw and loved it. That film was never going to play here. Several years ago, we showed the great film Whiplash about the drummer. It was such a cool film. People loved that film. That film was not going to come here. So by finding a gap in the market of realizing, what gap you're filling, I think is important. And having a very, very clear vision of where you're going, doing things big and doing things with energy and style. The one thing whenever I get questions around, are you surprised by WIF's success? Respectfully, I'm not surprised by it. It is very much what we all collectively as our group had envisioned for the festival. It takes a lot of work. And I think one thing I would put out there for a lot of people who do a lot of good things in the community and work hard, I never meet anybody that thinks they don't work hard. I've never met anybody that does that. But what I would say is, over the years, and I've been with WIF 12 years, and some of my colleagues have been there like 15 years, it's wild. Whenever we onboard new teammates onto the board of directors or on our marketing team, what have you, they're always initially first reaction, very taken aback by the amount of hustle we have. And that's a really key piece, you know. I'll rarely, if ever, outsmart anybody, but I might outwork you. And that's very consistent, I think, with the rest of our team. They're all hustlers. Off season right now, we're having 6 to 8 online meetings a week. Leading up to festival, we might have 15 meetings a week. Do you know what I mean? It's really substantial. So always remember, if you don't think you'll outsmart people, as I never do, aim to outwork people. That'll get the results.
Awesome. Thank you. I agree with the hustle. You've taught me that, definitely, being one of my mentors, just talking about hustling, outworking people. It's a great thing to have, great skill set. We do have one last question. I know you do have to get going. You have a meeting today, but it's from somebody watching. Alex Benai. It says, is there someone who inspired you to make some of your career decisions in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a cheesy answer, but my parents. And the reason for it actually came down to self-awareness, okay? I remember as a teenager, you know, I was in high school, I was always really good in the business courses, and I liked the languages and the arts. I liked both of those equally, and I was kind of good at both. I was school president, all those types of things. And when I just talked to my parents about what I saw for life, and I want to do big things, I want to be impactful to a community, I want to help people, I want to build things, they made it clear to me as a 15-year-old, whatever I planned on doing, you have to go into something you love a lot, because you're the type of person that will work a lot. So because you're going to work a lot, make sure you actually like what you're doing and you believe in it. They always let me know the value of education, for sure. To this day, my dad's favorite thing ever is us growing up. We thought not going to post-secondary education was illegal. We didn't think we had a choice. We thought it was law to go. So it was very, very, very focused on that. And sort of knowing what type of, I don't believe that life is short. I believe that life is very long. I think Monday happens every week. You know what I mean? And I think you want to select careers and select things that you do that you actually do believe in. I actually do believe in the University of Windsor. I actually do believe in the School of Creative Arts, in the School of Business. I actually do believe in WIF. So when you're working super hard, at least at the core, you're like, but I'm kind of into this. I buy it. If you're into stuff that you're just faking it, or don't do things to impress other people. Let them do it. Let them do it. Do not do things that impress other people, or they're proud of you, or they think you look successful, because you're the one that's to get up every Monday morning. Do not do that. I promise you, life's very long in that case.
Wow. Yeah, you make a really, really clear point on that. Doing stuff you love, it's important. It's important to your success, important to your mental health. So thank you for giving those words of wisdom today. And also thanks for joining us. I appreciate your openness to doing this. I really appreciate how passionate you were about talking about everything. I really think that the viewers who are watching, thanks for watching. I think it's really going to be something impactful for them. So I do want to encourage everyone who's watching, please click the share button. All of anyone who shares is entered into a draw to win 2 free bags of coffee, courteous of Chance Coffee, a local coffee brewery in Windsor, Essex. So it's important that we support our local businesses during this time. So please click share. And also want to let you know, this Friday is our next live stream. I'm going live with Autumn Kings, another local band in Windsor, Essex. Going to be really cool. They're doing a live performance on live. And we're also doing a fantastic giveaway for people who share. They will come and play a song right outside your driveway during COVID-19. So please check out our live stream this Friday. I'll post the times. And thank you, Dr. Vincent Georgie, for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Happy to be here. Congrats on the show, Lynn. It's great.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll see you next time.